For lasagna you will need 500 grams of mince or corn, 1 small onion chopped, 1 clove of garlic, 400 grams of chopped tin tomatoes, 1 vegetable stock cube, 50 grams of margarine, 40 grams of plain flour or corn flour, 1 pint of milk, 100 grams of cheese and 6 pasta sheets. In addition to this is optional, we are putting mushrooms in. So a drop of oil. Then you're going to add your onions. Lightly brown your onions. Do a wonky frying pan. And to that you can add your garlic. To that you can then add your meat. I'm using corn. Corn won't need frying as much as your meat. When you're using raw meat, you have to fry it until it goes light brown and it's no longer red. Stir in your meat until it's gone brown. I'm now going to add my mushrooms, which are optional. Then add your chopped tin tomatoes. Crumble your stock cube. Now, because I've used corn, I'm going to add some water because it's very, very dry. You will need to see how much fat or liquid has come out of your meat, and when you've had your, added your chopped tomatoes, to see whether you need to add any water or not. I'll just stir that in. A few twists of pepper, again optional. And some tomato puree. If you don't have tomato puree, you could use tomato sauce. I find that works just as well and gives it a little bit of a sweet flavour. As you can see, you're most probably going to end up with quite a lot of meat by the time you've put your onions in, your tomatoes, so you will need a dish big enough to make your lasagna up in, and so that you can use all of your meat. So I'm now just going to leave that to simmer. And put that on the back ring. And then in another saucepan, I'm going to add 50 grams of butter or margarine, 40 grams of either plain flour or corn flour. This is all going into the pan without any heat on. And then I'm going to add the milk, which is 1 pint, roughly about 500, just over 500 millilitres. And then I'm going to stir it just to break up the flour. Don't worry about the fat, because that won't start to melt until you put heat to it. Just going to break up the flour so that it doesn't, your sauce won't go lumpy. And once you've done that, just pop the heat on. Stirring with a whisk all the time. Your butter will start to melt. Just keeping an eye on your meat, giving it the occasional stir just to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the frying pan. And then just stir your sauce. Your fat will melt. This will take most probably about 5 minutes. You have to be patient. It will go thick, but you do have to be a little patient. So as you can see, my butter's melting. My sauce has thickened a little bit. So I don't think I put enough flour in, so I'm just going to add, which isn't a problem because we can just add a little bit of corn flour for you, or flour, and it will just help it go a little bit thicker. Just stir that in. And you can see it's gone thicker. So now you can turn that down just to simmer. You can add your cheese. And then it's ready to assemble. So, in your dish you're going to put layer of meat. You want to try and get at least 2 layers. Your lasagna sheets. You can do a bit of a jigsaw. Just break bits off and put them at the end. Don't have too bigger bits overlapping, otherwise it will take too long to cook. And then you add a little bit of white sauce. Just spread that over. Try and cover your pasta because it helps it cook. Just spread that gently over. And then you're going to add another layer of meat, or corn, or vegetables, whatever you've brought to make your lasagna. Pasta sheets. And another layer of sauce. Just covering the sheets so they don't burn where they're exposed in the oven. It's optional. If you have any spare cheese, you can sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top, but that is optional. And there's your lasagna. And then you will place it in the oven on about 180 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes until the pasta is soft.